All right, is my mic working? Hey everybody, Mark here from WhiskyWhistle, your wise choice in independent whiskey and spirits reviews, bringing you a live review of this one, Laphroaig PX Cask. Now, let me just get myself set up here. Now, I think I've got everything ready and open. Let's see here. The stream is good, and I sent out a tweet, so hopefully we'll see some people shortly. Nobody in the chat room just yet. And I've got my Glencairn glass. Now, I tried to do this during my live that I just put up called Dumpster Drams, and unfortunately something happened, and I think it got cut out. So there's a big swath of that live missing, gone forever. Some good stuff happened there. Probably my greatest work ever. Now, I've got my glass. I've also got my water. And we have Sherry Malt Drams who's joined. Hello, welcome. Let me know, is the sound okay? Is the video okay? Is my head cut off or not? I've tried to make sure I'm using the back side of my my phone camera, my iPhone. So hopefully that's good. And as I said, today we're going to be looking at this one right here. Maybe I'll set that up here. Does that work? Yeah, it kind of works. Good. All right, welcome. Thanks for joining. Let's get that poured. Now this will be probably short, maybe half an hour. There we go. And we'll see how we do. Hopefully we'll have a few guests. Well, a few people following, I should say, on the chat. Looks like it's going to fall. Well, if it falls, it should be okay. It's a wood here. All right, so stream is good. 2 people watching. And a bit quiet. Okay, let me see if I can improve that. I'll set that right there. Is that better? Maybe I should hold it. Is it better if I hold it? Let me know. I'll send out a quick message here. Welcome. All right. Error, try again. Well, I've tried to say something, unable to connect to chat. Okay, I'm offline for a minute on my iPad. We'll keep running. Anyway, so this is Laphroaig PX Cask. Now, this is triple matured, first maturation in ex-bourbon casks, just like Laphroaig 10, they say. Second maturation in quarter casks. And then finally, some time, probably not a very long time, in PX sherry casks, Pedro Jimenez casks. All right, what's happening here with my iPad? Hold the fort just for a second. Not connected. All right, we'll see if I can connect up again. Okay, there, connected. Don't know what's happening all the time with this. Refresh that. Now, color-wise, that's just a basic standard amber. Now, I'm pretty sure there's color added, so we won't chat that up too much. It certainly does look nice. I think this is also chill filtered, and it says nothing to the contrary on the can. Anyway, so likely chill filtered, and it's 48% ABV. Okay, back to the control room. Okay, bear with me here. 3 people watching now. And here we are into the chat room. Okay, so Sherry Malt Drams, how's the volume now? Is it better? And we have a Rainer Hausler who's back again. Thank you so much for joining. Yes, it's kind of like part 2 because looking at the result, a big swath of the review was missing. In fact, all of it. So I'm back again to take care of that. Anyway, so back to Laphroaig PX. Now, at least on the replay of the video, it's just entirely missing. In fact, some of the dumpster disposal drams were also missing too. Okay, so please let me know, how's the audio, how's the video, is my head cut off? I hope not. Make sure that things are looking good because I can't see it. I can adjust a little bit, but anyway, should I go up or down? Okay, let's just carry on. We're 5 minutes in, and we talked a little bit about the color. And I'm underneath traditional Korean, I guess they call that odumak, I think. Anyway, that's a nice wooden contraption actually provided by Sejong University, where I previously worked. At my last day today, and I'm just outside the university now. And let's have a quick look at the legs. See if I can get that swirled around a little bit. Whoops. Okay. So, actually fairly nice legs on this one, and it is rather mouth coating. But actually can't say much more than that about this whiskey. Now, I believe it was about $100 US at duty free. So quite a bit more than I would have liked to have paid. And Whiskey Sneerson is asking, are you bringing any bottles back to Canada? Yes, I'm bringing all of my full bottles that I have here. I won't mention the number, probably more than I should. I'll declare some of them, and hopefully they'll just say, okay, carry on, just like they do on Star Wars. That would be nice. These are not the bags you're looking for. These are not the bags we're looking for. All right, let's hope that's what happens when I go back. All right, so the color, decent, but probably colored with E150A. It's likely chill filtered. It is 48% ABV, so that's a nice bonus. And in my recollection, this is heavily influenced by those quarter casks. Okay, so just a quick volume check. How's my volume? And yeah, stream is good. Well, I'm happy that the stream is doing all right. And Rainer says, video is okay, but this might be the environmental sounds. Yes, we have people walking around, cars driving, even a little bit of wind, and this mic isn't especially suited to outdoor use. Anyway, we'll just carry on. All right, let's get on to the nose for this Laphroaig Laphroaig PX cask. Smoky, a little bit sweet. I don't really get a lot of influence from that PX cask on the nose. There might be a little bit of something like apricot. Something kind of like half-burnt firewood. Nothing like bacon or those sorts of things. A little bit ashy. Not quite as ashy, smoky, dusty as the Laphroaig 10, and not a lot of medicinal content either. Something like a little bit of appley sweetness, but like smoked apples or baked apples, if you ever had that with marzipan inside where the core was. Well, I think that's pretty good for the nose. On to the palate then. Cheers, everybody watching. Thanks for joining. It's pretty potent for 48%. I have a feeling that it's actually got some young content in there, so a bit feisty. Again, I'm thinking smoked apples, half burnt fire logs, as I mentioned. That's coming through on the palate as well, although I probably would never taste a half burnt fire log, but you get the idea. It's got a bit of freshness, but at the same time there's a mustiness to this on the palate, which is not exactly wonderful, a little bit off-putting. Now, has anybody had this who's watching? Have you tried the Laphroaig PX cask? If so, tell me your thoughts on that one. And the stream status is good. We're 10 minutes in. We have, again, 3 people watching. Thanks for watching, everyone. And a quick hello to all people watching here. We have Rainer Hausler. How are you doing? Thanks for joining. You've been joining me a lot on my live streams. Whiskey Sneerson, thank you so much. Sherry Malt Drams, again, thanks for joining. Really appreciate that. And let's just carry on. Maybe I'll refresh that just in case. Now it's a nice summer day here in Seoul. We're approaching the summer solstice. I guess that's coming up. What day is it today? It should be around about the 19th. So a couple days from now, the longest day of the year here in Seoul. It doesn't really stay that bright. The sun will go down around about 8:30 and gets up maybe around a little bit before 6 a.m. Now this is versus Winnipeg, where we would have sunlight until roughly about 10 p.m. and the morning light will begin, I would say 4:30, and the sunrise sometime after 5. All right, now, Whiskey Sneerson, I didn't know you were in Saskatoon, one of my favorite cities in Canada. I really love Saskatoon. Beautiful town. I've got a friend actually who I met in Korea, a Canadian guy, and he's actually moved back to Saskatoon. At least that area is where he lives now with his wife and three children. Same as me, I think 3 girls. So. All right, back to that palette one more time. Dusty, musty, not especially sherry influenced. Again, a little bit of apricot. Maybe a couple of raisins, but really, you don't really taste much of this so-called PX sherry influence. The finish, like most Laphroaig, is quite long, smoky, ashy, a little bit of that apple sweetness. I don't really get, again, I just don't get a whole lot of this sherry influence. And what it says here is a subtle 3rd maturation in casks that once held Pedro Jimenez sherry. Now, it doesn't say whether that's fresh casks or whether that is second fill. And subtle, what does subtle mean? Does this mean a short period of time? I guess that's what that would mean. And all it says is the 3rd maturation is in large European PX casks. So those could be big, huge butts. And the bigger the cask, the less influence it has per unit time on the alcohol. So I'm guessing this might have, let's say, a 6-month finishing in very large casks, and hence being predominantly influenced by the quarter casks. Bourbon also, I mean, that should impart some level of sweetness. It does have a fair bit of oak richness. A bit of cinnamon. There's no vanilla here at all, but anyway, it's okay. It's not my favorite, and to be honest, I'll never buy a bottle of this again. And some very loud, noisy students are passing by. Hopefully not my students, because I haven't finished grading the exams. Let's see. No, I don't think so. Whiskey Sneerson says he did pick up a 2017 Laphroaig Carchus Quarter Cask CS in Edmonton. Very good. Yeah, that sounds pretty amazing. I think that's pronounced Carchis. I forget the pronunciation. I apologize. If you know, write it down for me. And Rainer Hausler, I mentioned he joins all my lives and he says I do a good job. Well, I really appreciate that. And you know what? It's going to get even better once I have a nice laptop. I think I'm going to go with a MacBook Pro. Maybe I'll start with one that has been gently used. First of all, maybe in 2017, and then maybe next year once I'm well established and earning hopefully small bucket loads of money. Let's hope. Then maybe I'll treat myself to a nice one. If you're curious about what I'll be doing, actually I'll be getting into commercial real estate in Winnipeg. So I paid for the first course. I have to take a couple of exams this summer, and then hopefully by September I'll be a licensed realtor in Manitoba. All right, anyway, one last taste before I add some water. Do a little bit of horse impersonation there. Something grassy I'm getting there now, but still not a whole lot of redeeming qualities for this Laphroaig PX. I'll sit back up over here. Don't fall, don't fall. Don't want any more broken bottles. Now, let's add a bit of water to that one. Can I open that with one hand? Yes, I can. Okay, I'm going to pour in a couple of drops, more like about maybe 2 milliliters of water into this 10 milliliters that I've got left. Maybe I'll pour a little bit less than that. There. Always exciting here on WhiskyWhistle. At present, maybe the most unprepared and unscheduled of all YouTube whiskey channels. I'll chalk it up to living in Asia, posting at different times, having 3 children, and well, just having a lot to do. Okay, so we've added some water there. I wonder if that's a slight little bit of clouding going on. Isla mist, as they might call it. If so, then that would be indicative of not chill filtering. But again, it just doesn't say so on the bottle, so I'm really reluctant to tell you that it is. But, you know, it just might be. Okay, the nose with water now, Laphroaig PX cask. A little bit more appley. The peat has become kind of sour. So think fresh apples, a fresh case of apples with a couple of sour, slightly rotten ones in there. Burning cardboard. Still some half-burnt fire logs. And those apricots still lingering there. And we have Welsh Toro who's joined. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me. Great to see you. And let's see. Whiskey Spearson says he likes sherry finished peated whiskey. So do I. I really like Ardbeg Ugi. How does this compare with Triple Wood or Ardbeg Ugi? Well, I have not really explored the Triple Wood very much. This is absolutely no comparison whatsoever to the Ardbeg Ugadal. Neither the nose, nor the taste, nor the finish, nor the amount of sweetness, nor the amount of, I would say, long maturation. I would guess that the Ardbeg Ugadal is probably about 12 years old, something like the The extra matured Glenmorangie might be only 11, but for sure it's more than 10. And this tastes like it could be as young as 7 or 8 years old, at least for part of the content. And when you add water, nothing really special happens at all. It might actually be a detriment to the nose. Again, very sour apples on the palate, musty. And as I tried to say in my live, but I think it was cut out, and interestingly, people were still chatting along. Of course, that part of the chat has been cut out. I went through the nosing and tasting and the finish with neat and with water, and it's all missing. And what I had said was that I'll rank in my least favorite single malts, and just one above my absolute least favorite, which was Auchentoshan American Oak. I wonder, what's your least favorite single malt? Which whiskey do you feel like you burnt your money and you wasted it and you wanted to return the bottle? I actually tried returning the bottle, but the liquor stores in Winnipeg said to me, you can't return it just because you don't like it. So maybe I should have said that I thought that it was corked, or that I thought that it was tainted. Anyway, I played it honest, and I ended up having to keep the bottle. And what did I end up doing? In fact, I ended up just suffering through it and taking it as a lesson in what kind of whiskey I don't like, and that's certainly one of them. Now, there might be people who chat disconnected. There might be people who like that one, American Oak from Auchentoshan. There could be some redeeming qualities to it. To me, it just tasted of dry grapefruit pith, and just nothing that I would like to sip and enjoy. And I tried it after oxidation, no real improvement. I did manage to finish the bottle. I suffered through that, thinking that maybe eventually it would get better, but it just never did. All right, we've got 5 people watching. Thank you for joining all. And let's see, we have Welsh Toro who comments about Kilchoman Loch Gorm, 6 years old, and it tastes older, not necessarily better than the Udal. Really interesting. Which one? Is that the one that I have at home? I might have that Loch Gorm at home. And again, you know, there could also be some batch variation with the Ardbeg Ugadal. There also could be some differences in quality of casks, and maybe the starting point for Kilchoman being very hands-on. The new make. In fact, I tried some of the new make at a Kilchoman event a few months ago. I was very impressed with the unaged Kilchoman. It was very, very drinkable, and I would buy a bottle of it if it were available. In fact, they were selling some, but it was just too expensive. Interesting. And Rainer talks about the only bottle that he didn't like was the Ben Riach 10 Curiositas. You know, interesting, because I've had some people tell me that that's their favorite Ben Riach. So funny. Right, returning isn't possible for you to use it for cooking. What did you cook with that, Rainer? I'd like to know. One last taste of that with water, and if we look at that now, I would say there's definitely some hazing going on there. Not the university style of hazing. This is the place to do it. I could probably call over one of my students if they were around, but I don't see any of mine. So this actually might be unfiltered. That's a possibility. It does not say so, so I won't confirm that. One final taste. Well, if you add water and you leave it for a long period of time, there is a bit of redemption, especially in the finish. Yeah, the conclusion of the palate and the finish gives you a little bit of a sherry, peaty sherry kick to it, and a nice little bit of sweetness in the back of the throat. Pretty long finish, in fact, and I think I'll try to enjoy that one more time with you. Well, that's my favorite part of this whiskey. The finish with water added and a lot of time having passed. Oh, he used it for haggis. Rainer, great haggis. You know, I've never made it. I'll try to make that maybe sometime, maybe this winter. And Whiskey's here some comments that he's never had a single malt that was horrible. The worst bottle of last year was Canadian Club 12-year-old. That's interesting, because I think they're not actually making that anymore. At least not the 12-year-old sherry anymore. They replaced it with a sherry NAS. The 12-year-old might still be on the shelves. He thought that it was horrible, though his palate may not have been digging it at the time. He likes the Canadian Club Premium. Interesting. That's the basic bottle, right? Now, I had the 20-year-old, and that was unreal. Now, that was a very old bottle of it. I'll be very interested to compare the old 20-year-old Canadian Club that I have a little 50 milliliter sample left of in my whiskey archives with the current 20-year-old. That would be one of my projects, hopefully later this summer, once I've earned some money and my wife doesn't complain about all the money I spend on whiskey. A lot. Not as much as some people, though. Anyway. Oh, and if you'd like to help me with that, well, there's a Patreon account for Whiskey Whistle. Patreon.com/WhiskyWhistle. So far, there's a $1 a month setting, which I've called Owls. That is going to be changed. Anyway, become an owl, and you'll get ad-free early access to the Whiskey Whistle regular reviews before they go public, and also the monthly newsletter called the Whiskey Whistler. So that's been drained. Let's get on to the Whiskey Whistle whiskey score for Laphroaig PX Cask. Now, I'm afraid this is just not going to be a very good score, and I'll stay true to the missing content from my previous live, in case that somehow resurfaces, though I don't think it will. The Whiskey Whistle whiskey score for this bottle of whiskey from Laphroaig is going to be 75 out of 100. Yes, you heard right, 75 out of 100 is the Whiskey Whistle whiskey score for Laphroaig PX. I will never buy another bottle of this one. I might accept a glass of it if somebody offered it to me, for sure. It's not terrible, and if you're a Laphroaig fan, then maybe this is a bottle you should get so you can compare it with your other Laphroaigs. So far, my favorite Laphroaig is Laphroaig 15, the 200-year anniversary edition. That was nice. And Laphroaig 10-year-old, I actually didn't like it at first, but down about halfway through the bottle, I really warmed up to it. You can find my reviews of those in the archives. Now, a few more comments from people here to look at. So Welsh Toro had a bottle of Devil's Cut. That's the Jim Beam, right? Jim Beam Devil's Cut. And it was a hot, boiling summer in Andalusia. and he thought he got through it by drowning it in tumblers of ice. And I had a small sample of that. They're Jim Beam samples, however, they're in plastic, and this was on an airplane. The glass was also plastic, and it may have been influenced by all that plastic, but I did not like that at all, so I can understand that maybe that's not really that great a whiskey. Well, Whiskey Sneerson mentioned that the Canadian Club sherry 12-year-old was worse. So, yeah. I think Canadian whiskey, I think the rye content can throw single malt drinkers for a loop due to its dusty, spicy sharpness. So that might be an effect. Although you mentioned you like the Canadian Club Premium, so you obviously do like some Canadian rye. Anyway, interesting. Right, so here I am. It's June 19th. I've got a week and a couple of days left here in Korea before I move to Winnipeg with my family. And I don't know how much content I'll be able to get out before I move. In fact, my wife has demanded that I don't do any more. I do have another Aberlour, the 18-year-old, half edited. So that might get out maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, depending on time. And if I can, I'll put another live, because these are actually easier to do than doing a real a regular review for me, because I spend a lot of time editing. Probably about an hour to 2 hours of editing time for a 20-minute video. Pardon me. That's when I edit things out like burping. I can't do that on live though, can I? You know, boy, I feel kind of a little bit, what's the word? I feel a little bit 목말려. I'm thirsty, so I better have a little bit more of this. You know, again, I hate to really harp on this one, but it could be a lot better than this. It would be nice had they put, let's say, a year of aging. I think that would have made a world of difference. But Beam Suntory, that's the company that owns that, they run a pretty tight ship. So that's about the best they can do, I guess, for 48% at travel retail for $100 American. And well, another comment from Welsh Toro. He talks about Laphroaig, that they don't really push the PX. Yes, you're right, they don't. And for a long time, it was only available in travel retail. Interesting. He thinks they knew that it wasn't that great, right? And it could be much better than that. It's all a matter of money, though, isn't it? I think if they put an age statement, 11 years, 10 years, 11, maybe how about 12 years? 10 years in ex-bourbon, 1 year in quarter casks, maybe 6 months, maybe just 6 months, and then a final year in PX casks. And this would probably be something that people would want to collect, perhaps. Maybe even stick a vintage on it. Yeah, not my favorite. Not terrible though. That's why I'm putting it on the channel. If I really hated it, I think I probably wouldn't do the disservice to Laphroaig and to Beam Suntory as to totally egg on the bottle and, I don't know, do things like take a sword to it, because I know that's been done, or use it as a cleaner, because I know that's been done too. And if those people are watching, I'm sorry, but you did it. so I can at least comment on that on my live stream. Again, WT says he wishes that Laphroaig would stop messing about, right? And he mentions the independence. You know, I just have no access to that, and I hear that there are some good things out there. Unfortunately, I just cannot get any of that either here in Korea or home in Winnipeg. Ontario actually gets more more independence than Manitoba does, and Alberta gets the most in Canada. So I might have to use some family links that I have to Alberta, and see if I can get my hands on some stuff from companies like, what's that one company? Begins with a K. Oh no. No, it's gone. Anyway, there's a nice liquor shop with a great proprietor, and they get in lots of great stuff. Starts with a K. It's gone. Whiskey Sneerson, maybe you know. Now, in my office, I have a bottle of old Hanky Bannister 12-year-old. And that might be my last live here in Korea, is to go through all of the old bottles that I've got. I have an old Famous Grouse. I've got that Hanky Bannister. I've got an old blended malt from Ballantyne's. And a few other old things, like some old Dimple. And if I could get some time to make that happen, then I will. It might be a day over here at the university, because certain people don't know that I'm doing this. Certain people being my wife. Anyway, so that might happen. Yes, thank you, Whiskey Station. Kensington Wine Mart, that's exactly the place I'm talking about. They get some independent bottlings, and so I might have to utilize a cousin in Alberta to get myself a bottle of that. Oh, Don Holland, thank you for joining. Really happy to see you. Appreciate that. Nice to have you here. Just wrapping up this review. Scathing, I shouldn't call it a scathing review. It's an honest review of Laphroaig PX Cask, and I think I gave it a fairly good score of 75 out of 100. I don't think I'll buy another bottle. If you're a Laphroaig fan, that might be something that you should get a hold of, just to compare it to your other Laphroaigs and see if you can taste that sherry finish, which I don't really get much of here. At most, I get a little bit of that quarter cask, that fresh oak. But really not much else. The finish with water is about the best as it gets. A hint of sweetness at the back of your throat, and a smidgen of something akin to sherry, peaty, dram, but this is not. So anyway, and I've lost my connection again. Hang on for a second, folks. Okay, so I'm connected. Okay, it should reconnect any second. Come on now. Oh, I can't wait to have some good tech. All right, here we go. I'll make my final comments and then conclude this live. Don Holland has joined. It's great to have him here. Are you in Toronto? Oh my God! So it is 4 o'clock almost 4 o'clock in the morning in Toronto. What on earth are you doing at this hour, Don? Hopefully you got a glass in hand. You're gonna finish that last little drag of this Laphroaig PX cask. Anyway, thank you for spending this time with me, everybody. Coming to a close here with my time in Korea. spent my last day at this institution behind me, which is Seoul University. That was where I had worked, and heading towards a new job in Winnipeg as a commercial real estate agent. I've got some exams to get through first of all, so I'll be a student for a brief period of time in the summer. If any of you are real estate agents, then maybe you can send me some emails, Mark's WhiskyWhistle at gmail.com, and send me your thoughts, your ideas, any I don't know, books I should read, or anything you think that might help to get me off and running with my new career. That'd be great. And Don, as I mentioned, that was what we reviewed today. Not my favorite, but not the worst. We'll leave it at that. All right, now, so Whiskey Sneerson mentions that the sun might be coming up over there in Toronto. Yeah, it might be. At least there should be some daylight breaking through in Toronto by now. Probably by about 4:30, you'll be able to walk outside and see pretty much everything at this time of the year. Anyway, check my live stream. Yep, the stream is good. Great to hear that. That means my battery is not dead yet. It says variable resolution stream. Well, I guess that means that I can't quite get a whiskey walk-in closet. Have you seen that Heineken commercial where there's a Heineken walk-in closet? Well, I'll be trying to create a whiskey walk-in closet, hopefully, in the next coming months. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you're all well. We'll see you for the next one, hopefully here, possibly in Winnipeg. Take care, and I love you all. We'll see you for the next one. Thanks so much. Goodbye. Bye-bye now.